in the Faculty of Osteopathy, is an author of internationally recognised textbook in the field of homeopathy, has a regular column, or had a regular column, in Melbourne's leading lifestyle magazine, and has treated thousands of clients over 2 decades. He now shares his knowledge of mind, body and spirit health as a public speaker. So again, we're going to have a Q&A at the end, so if you have any questions, please write them down. And without further ado.
Thank you. And there are pads with pencils, and I encourage you to write any sort of notes that you feel you might want to write. So tonight, we're all here to dive deeper, to let go and to dream big. And really what that means is it's not some Tony Robbins promise for elevation beyond being normal or being grounded, but it's actually really about accessing the aliveness and reconnecting with the truth of who we all are. And so that's the basis from which this seminar emerged, because all of my studies over the last 31 years, which seems sort of incredible now that I think about it, when I consider when I first started studying and now it's 31 years later, has always been about exploring and searching for wholeness. And people often say, what do you want to be an osteopath for? And look, I love osteopathy, but my dream was always to be an explorer, to support people as a whole and help people feel nourished as a whole, not strictly to identify with osteopathic technique. My earliest memory of wholeness was when I was in grade 1. And I remember being slumped at the desk in my maths class, feeling really lonely and really disconnected from what felt like imposed upon me, this times table stuff. And the only way forward for me seemed to be to draw art in my maths book. And my book, I actually bought it just for the fun of it. My sister told me to bring it. Where's my book? It is here. Oh, here it is. And this is sort of theoretically meant to be a maths book, but you know, it's just full of you know, all sorts of images that really reconnected me back to my wholeness. I felt at the time, I remember feeling, the moment I started to draw in my maths book, I felt like alive again, like suddenly I had access to a world of my imagination. And it felt like it nourished me. I felt relieved from what felt like almost a form of brutality, really, to have to do maths. You have to grade 1, you know. So, right from the very beginnings of my life, I was really deeply driven by something that made the world feel okay for me and made me feel connected and nourished and alive. And really what we're going to be talking about tonight is dreaming big is really about connecting back to your aliveness. It's really reconnecting back to the truth of who you are. And as adults we get, and even as young kids, we start to be conditioned out of the unique expression of our blueprint, the core gifts that we arrive into this world with. And we start to become a safe, modified version of actually what we started out as. And so osteopathy, naturopathy, traditional Chinese acupuncture, healer, writer, explorer, they all actually feel so important for me to add because I've chose writing as a means of talking in pictures. My job is about eliciting the big picture and even these seminars are part of the big dream for me. So really I'm a constantly living, breathing organism of change myself, and these seminars are a further deepening of me diving deeper into wholeness myself. Do you ever wake up in the morning and feel like your sparkle is gone? Now, by the way, all the art has been done by me in preparation for this seminar. These dream boards and things are all, I'm a big one for vision boards, and a bit like I don't think I've grown up since grade 1. So it's part of my healing to express my wholeness through the right brain. And interestingly, I wrote the homeopathy colouring book, which was a colouring book that uses image to convey text, and it was the only way I could make sense out of my homeopathy class. So, you know, this is a repeated theme for me, and I think it's because of my extraordinary and exquisite connection to my own inner child that it generates from within me the desire to have that wholeness expressed through in whatever I do, including in my work. So this idea that waking up in the mornings and wondering where your sparkle has gone, wondering where that zest for life, that anticipation of a day ahead, do you ever feel that, you know, with your work and, you know, all your life, you know, that you're on auto repeat, that you go to the same coffee shop, or that you do the same job, or, you know, and I can relate to the wonderful feeling of safety and comfort that comes with being on auto repeat. But at the end of the day, you're not expanding beyond your comfort zone, you're actually continuing to generate the same outcomes. And what we're all here tonight to do is to generate some different outcomes. This image is a painting that I did that means a lot to me. And it's of a dream that I had. It's really nice we're both sharing dream stories, Matt. And this dream, this is Puffing Billy here. And I was sitting on Puffing Billy on my mother's lap, and Mum's here. Mum's here. And I was sitting on her lap, and we were overlooking this emerging water spirit. And one of the core gifts that my mother has that I really feel, I sort of never realised I've inherited it from her, but I must have, is her incredible core gift of being able to look at life through the magical eyes of a child. And she's so good with kids, you know, they just gravitate to her and they love her. And she was encouraging me to look at this thing called life. And this emerging water spirit, I remember this dream that it started off as this very stark, isolating scene in a neglected wilderness. And then this emerging water spirit came up, the bones were cracking and blood was hemorrhaging from the back. And I could really relate to the fact that in the ascent, there was a lot of struggle involved. But there was equally a power, and there was an awe. And there was something happening that felt unstoppable, primitive, and absolutely beyond pain. And my mother was trying to get me to see that through the magical eyes. She was trying to say, hey, look, you know, looking transparently through the duality. And we're all really, if we're going to dream big, if we're going to connect with our wholeness, we all ultimately have to go through the hero's journey. And the hero's journey is really about, we start off as this embryonic expression of wholeness. And then we gather beliefs and limitations that keep us safe and stop us from shining in our authenticity and in our uniqueness. They keep us safe. But as we go through life, life gradually, the healing effect of love and things continue to remold us, and we ultimately, hopefully, emerge again in our full splendour, which is really what the power that we were born as. This seminar emerged out of sort of like I won't call it a midlife crisis at all, because but more sort of a desire to claim my life, a desire to get out of order, repeat, and find my sparkle. Thinking back to my incredible, I have such an interest in creativity and passion, and I wanted to claim it. I wanted to dive deeper, I wanted to take more risks. I wanted to become much more in a state of anticipation, in a state of expectation about every day unfolding in a really creative way for me. And so tonight is all about me sharing the blood and the guts of my personal journey and my professional wisdom and knowledge that I've gained from amazing teachers in the last 30 years about how the body and the mind naturally heal, and how the more we're in line with the natural laws of healing that we actually, and we make peace, that we naturally become the truest version of ourselves again. So my promise to you tonight is we are going to dream big. And when I say dream big, I mean we are going to connect back with the truth of who we are. Not some elevated version that we find is impossible to sustain. And Margie, you were talking about this, about your trip to Bali and how you went away and felt so alive, and then you've come back into work and it's been really a struggle. And what we're talking about is this idea that just waking up to your uniqueness, waking up to your aliveness. I'll be sharing a bit more about that, but it's really about celebrating your life, celebrating who you are, and recognising your authenticity, and starting to really ask for what you want. Looking at your life now and saying, I celebrate my journey, and what more do I want? I want more, and owning it and standing for it. Then we're going to dive deeper. And we're going to dive deeper for a pearl. And I did a dream board that was part of the catalyst and part of the movement forward in generating the content. And this really represented my understanding of